So, first thing, I want to pay tribute to two of my very dear friends from ICSAD, Mustafa Latif Emek and Kaldigul. Now, they both have introduced themselves already, but what I wanted to do was to, if I can, let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I am Dr. Mustafa Latif Emek. I am director of the ICSAD Institute in Turkey, and I would like to welcome you to this conference. My digital twin was created in Yepik AI.
Hi, my name is Kaldigul Adilbekova. I am originally from Kazakhstan. I am the General Secretary of the ICSAD Institute in Turkey. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this conference in Konya.
What I'm presenting to you today is not a research paper. It's an opinion piece, and I really would like to stimulate some thought, get you to think about the impact of AI on society, business, education. And so after the presentation this morning, I decided to try a little bit of Turkish. So this is one of my alter egos, and I'm going to go back and try and get him to speak in Turkish.
Yapay zeka, insanlığın geleceğine yönelik sonuçlarına bakılmaksızın her vatandaşın eline benzeri görülmemiş bir yaratıcı güç vererek, insan yaratıcılığını tamamen bozma potansiyeline sahiptir.
Was okay. Was it pretty good? Yeah. Well, I couldn't do this without the help of artificial intelligence. So, what is creativity? Is it innovation? Innovation has been something since the dawn of time. You see a caveman there trying to solve a problem, making flint weapons, or is it something to do with artistic talent? Well, I have to tell you, in my case, it's nothing to do with artistic talent because this is the limit of my artistic talent. I've never gone beyond being able to draw stick people, and nobody ever would recognise anything I ever drew. So without technology and without artificial intelligence, I'd be absolutely hopeless. So for this presentation, I want to try and introduce the concept of AI by differentiating creativity from technology and machines. So these are the number of attributes that I would associate with creativity. Whereas on the other side, machines and mechanical and names are very important in this because they give an idea of the characteristics of what we're talking about. So all of these words in my mind apply to, all of these names in my mind apply to machines. But my point is that creativity is one of the things, very important things, that makes us human. I've been involved in creative industries for 40 years. It's been my main profession. I run a creative technology presentation services company for many years. And one of the things that impresses me, and this is a slide that I saw in Japan last week. I was there for an independent aging conference about the importance of the aging society and how we value human diversity. And this particular slide took my interest quite a lot because it articulated the point not just about people who were older like me. When you've seen, what it says is, when you've seen one old person, you've seen one old person. But a lot of people, when they see one old person, they associate old people with infirmity, with losing their mind, and so there's a lot of stereotypes that come with the names, in fact. So that was one slide that impressed me. So I'm now going to go through a series of slides which really contrast machines and technology and humans. Machines are constrained by their physical properties. You couldn't ask a steam train to fly to the moon, for example. You couldn't ask a steam train to do anything else to go on the tracks that it's designed to do. Whereas human imagination is boundless. It's not constrained by the physical world, but we rely on machines to overcome some of our physical constraints. We can't fly, for example. We can't ourselves run faster than about 30 miles an hour. But with machines, we can fly. With railway engines, we can go at greater speeds. So we do rely on machines for a lot of things within our society. So going back to some early machines, in the early days, this is Archimedes' screw, in case you didn't recognise it. A lot of human development has arisen from harnessing the knowledge of the predictable physical world to create machines able to do things that human beings couldn't. But as we've evolved, we've also harnessed the power of other living creatures. And here's an example of horses pulling ploughs, and agriculture depended a lot on that in the early days. And as machines developed in the Victorian age, the age of innovation, a lot of the machines that were developed in those days were unreliable. So you've got traction engines and you've got early cars, and they required human skill and experience to get the most from the technology. So it's creative humans harnessing the power of technology. And as we've gone through my lifetime, in fact, if you start with the early days of the steam train, it's taken humanity 60,000+ years to invent a steam train. And the early steam trains were very primitive. The locomotive that you see on the screen there is actually younger than me. It was built in 1951. And there's only, 36 years between a steam locomotive and a driverless train. So the period we're going through now has gone from incremental change with technology to quantum change and exponential change. And this is very important because it's very difficult to plan for the future. The same in the automotive industry. We've gone from the steam traction vehicles of 1835. The Humber Snipe is the kind of car that I used to go. My uncle was the first person in our street to own a car. Nobody owned cars in those days. My uncle had a Humber Snipe, and it took us to the seaside, it took us on holidays. That was Humber Snipe when I was growing up, so we're talking about the 1950s. We've gone from that, which was very unreliable. In fact, my uncle and my father had to service the car every time we went on a journey. They would change the spark plugs, they'd change the oil, and even then the car would always break down. And wherever we went, we had places we saluted, which was where the car had broken down. But we've gone from that to 2023 to robot cars. It's gone from an incremental change to a quantum change, where there are driverless cars. In Milton Keynes, there are driverless taxis to take you about. There are robot delivery vehicles in Milton Keynes that will deliver your grocery. So it's a massive change. And in telecommunications, which is my background, we started off with what was a major advance in the early telephones in 1898. People could talk to each other for the first time. Public telephone boxes in 1921. And in a relative short period of history, we've gone from that to smartphones that can be used by anybody, anywhere in the world. And photography is exactly the same. I love photography. I'm a Google Street View Trusted Pro. I have lots of photographs of Turkey. In fact, I have 23,000 photographs on Google Maps, panoramic photographs, and they've been viewed 180 million times, which I can't believe it. Difficult to believe. But in photography, we've gone from the early camera of 1816 to one of the first consumer cameras, which made it possible for ordinary people to take photographs, 1955, to where we are today. We've all been you're taking photographs with your smartphone. I would never have believed that even when I was at university. I would have found it difficult to believe that one day people would be taking photographs with their phone. And if you look at this photograph, this is a photograph that I took where I live. And I'm quite proud of this photograph. But it's nothing to do with my photographic skill. It's the skill of the iPhone 12, iPhone 14 that I'm using that gets everything in focus and makes the picture better than I could ever make it through my own skill. We've talked about social media, and we've gone from a situation in 1900 with the first transatlantic radio broadcast to television, again with national broadcasters, only one television channel to begin with in the UK, to TikTok. We can all broadcast now, we're all television broadcasters, and we can reach anywhere in the world through these social media events. So from my own personal experience, just to show you how far we'd gone, when I first set up my presentation services company in 1984, I had a program called Execuvision, and this was before Windows, so there was no graphics on the computer, and I designed slides with the program called Execuvision. It had 4 colours. You could only choose 4 colours. It didn't have windows. Resolution was terrible. It was 320 by 200. And there were no data projectors, so you have to make 35mm slides and overhead transparencies. And so no social media, and a slide like that would take a skilled operator 20 to 30 minutes to create something like that. So we've gone from that in 1984 to this in 2023. And I hope my colleagues will forgive me for using their picture in this presentation, but these young men picked me up from the airport yesterday, and we were talking as we got in the car, and we were only 5 minutes from the hotel when I said to them, "Can I just show you something? Can I take your picture?" So I took their picture, and apologies to them, this is what I did with it.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Op, 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 op. Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Op, 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 op. Oppan Gangnam Style. Hey, sexy lady. Op, 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 op. Oppan Gangnam Style.
Than 40 years to this. You know, we're using mobile phone application, not done on a computer, on my smartphone. 16 million colours, high resolution, multimedia streaming, wireless projection, global internet, multiple channels. And that took me seconds to create in the car, not using a computer, in the car, on my phone, in 5 minutes between getting to the hotel. And so we've seen exponential developments in creative technologies. So 64,000 BC, cavemen drew pictures on the wall because they were trying to show what life was like for them in that period of history. And lots of people have seen them today, but in those days only a handful of people would have seen those cave drawings. It's the same in 1984. What I created for business presentations would only have been seen by a small number of people in a business conference. Today, I can make myself a zombie and I can be seen by thousands of millions. So from 64,000 years to some way you could only create something that was seen by a handful of people, we've gone to that where you could make an animated video that can be seen by millions of people. So it's enormous change. And you probably, I actually am amazed by this, because this was a little bit of an experiment for me. Some time ago, I started writing a science fiction book about a time in the future when, I don't think it's too far away actually, when through climate change and various problems, human beings have developed the ability to live indefinitely, but the world could not support that number of people. And so in this story in the future, people had to be put to sleep when they were 100 years old. And as compensation for being put to sleep, all of their memories, everything, personality, was transferred to a digital twin. And that digital twin would spend eternity living with the love of their life. So on the last day, when they were put to sleep, they'd relive everything in their life in that one day. So I asked AI, can you write me the first chapter of my book? And because I like Arthur C. Clarke as a science fiction writer, can you do it in the style of Arthur C. Clarke? So this is what it came up with.
Bölüm 1. Son rüya dünya, bilgi çağının başlangıcından bu yana değişmişti, ancak insanlık en derin dönüşüme yaşamın alacakaranlığında tanık oldu. Çok da uzak olmayan bir gelecekte, bilim ve teknolojinin en ileri görüşlü beyinlerin bile en çılgın hayallerinin ötesine geçtiği bir dönemde, dikkate değer bir uygulama ortaya çıktı. Ölümlü sarmalına veda etmeden önce, bireylere tek bir günde, son bir günde hayatlarını yeniden yaşama fırsatı veren bir uygulamaydı.